I'm going to retire soon, at least from this job. It's been a long time. I have 2 kids, which is a lot nowadays, and 2 grandchildren. Family is an important part of my life and I want to spend more time with them. It's not common to have a united family nowadays. Well, I have many passions. I was thinking of becoming a musician, but I'll always be an expert in the field of health maintenance, I guess. My name is Susan. I am still president of the Health Research Institute in the UK and I'm going to retire soon. I do think about taking some time for a more creative approach to life without the pressure I have now. It's not like I don't like pressure, but it is something that I've been doing for a long time. Well, in general terms, health maintenance is keeping your body at its optimal performance rate, keeping it young and preventing it from ageing. The revolutionary idea was to attack ageing as if it were a sickness. Metabolism is extremely complex, as are the number of pathologies derived from ageing. We stopped attacking pathologies and we started solving these intermediate damages caused by metabolism. For instance, as we get older, many different types of errant and unwanted proteins, the chemical byproducts of metabolism, build up and accumulate in between our cells. Collectively, these are known as forms of amyloid, a term you might be familiar with in connection to Alzheimer's disease. Now, we learned how to stimulate the immune system in order to attack these compounds. Some of the compounds were very difficult to digest for the immune system cells, but we solved the problem by using enzymes discovered in bacteria.
And is this preventing people from aging?
Well, not entirely, no, but it is slowing it down dramatically.
And can you tell us, how old are you?
I'm 110 years old. And my life expectancy nowadays is 150, so I've got 40 more years to go.
The development of CRISPR-Cas9 as a gene editing technology allows us opportunities to do things that just haven't been possible in the past. And it's the ease of CRISPR that has enabled hundreds, if not thousands, of labs all over the world to tackle this task.
Harvard's researchers believe that they can reverse DNA aging.
Think less Back to the Future and more Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Researchers treating lab mice with a disease called progeria, which causes premature aging, were able to show a measurable change within the aging cells of these animals. In other words, they partially reversed the aging process.
And now we have extended the lifespan of worms 11 times, flies by 6, fish by 4, and specific strains of mice by 5 times through gene modulations alone. But what about humans?
If we look at how long humans have actually lived, I think the longest living is about 120 plus years. And so we talked about 150 years, which is not really that different.
So the clinical trials have started up again, and I'm hopeful that one day, hopefully not in the too distant future, there will be medicines that we can take, say a little pill, and that could ward off the diseases of aging until much later and keep us healthier and functioning.
Tell us, at the time aging therapies appeared, how did they affect the world?
They changed the world, of course, for the good, in my opinion, in a general sense. Extended youth, new business opportunities emerged. I mean, imagine for a moment, back in 2016, people were at the top of their strength for just 10 years, between their 20s and 30s. I mean, we were not useful in evolutionary terms after our 30s. But now we're fertile for longer periods. And this is a dramatic change in biological, philosophical and anthropological terms. The sense of hurry, of rush in our society, sickness related to ageing was delayed. Of course, everyone needed psychological attention associated to the treatments to withstand this change.
Were there also problems related to that change? Don't you think that the economic situation nowadays, with poverty indicators rising, is a consequence of this change? Human rights associations are also addressing the need for some laws to regulate this imbalance. The wealthier and more powerful people are the ones who live longer. And nowadays, there are still almost 1 billion people in the world that are poor and cannot access the treatment.
Yes, research is private and expensive, so there are many social differences. But this is starting to change, and the technology is democratizing. The UN and the World Bank are trying to stipulate some common laws, and there are other issues that concern the governments. Governments were interested in increasing the productive life of their citizens by investing in public health, but it was a long-term bet, which is not popular with politicians. And elders stop being elders anymore. We can take care of ourselves, take care of our children, our grandchildren, and we have the wisdom of 110 years in a healthy body. We're a very big asset for society.
One of the main problems nowadays is the availability of natural resources to feed the growing population. This scientific advancement has taken its toll on the environment.
Yes, but also new businesses have emerged to solve that, and there have been recent advancements, for example, underground farming to create large areas for crops in countries with no more usable land, high efficiency seeds, and also the imprint of protein that is replacing cattle raising in developed countries is decreasing CO2 emissions and making meat completely affordable.
And on the human side, what has been the most difficult part?
For me, the most difficult part of this huge change was in the success rate of the therapies between different individuals. This meant that I lost a husband and also a son. There's still a large gap between the age of expectancy of men and women, and death is a very dramatic event in the Western world now, even more than it was before, and maybe we need more spiritual guidance now.
And what about the people who want to stay out of the therapy?
Well, if you think about aging as a disease, who wants to be sick? It's not part of a natural process. I mean, it's like defending not intervening in complicated births because dying in childbirth is natural. We're creating our own path on what's natural.
Well, that's not my point. I was thinking about freedom of choice and maybe the need of understand ourselves as humans. Maybe from a philosophical point of view. I would like you to listen to the words of a philosopher from the 20th century, if it's okay for you.
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
Now, there really isn't anything radically wrong with being sick or with dying. Who said you're supposed to survive? So therefore, one person who dies in a way is honorable because he's making room for others. We can also look further into it and see that if our death could be indefinitely postponed, we would not actually go on postponing it indefinitely. Because after a certain point we would realize that that isn't the way in which we wanted to survive. Why else would we have children? Because children arrange for us to survive in another way, by, as it were, passing on a torch. It's a far more amusing arrangement for nature to continue the process of life through different individuals than it is always with the same individual. Because as each new individual approaches life, life is renewed. And one remembers how fascinating the most ordinary everyday things are to a child. Because they see them all as marvelous, because they see them all in a way that is not related to survival and profit. When we get to thinking of everything in terms of survival and profit value, as we do, then the shapes of scratches on the floor cease to have magic.